Smoky.
Check, check, check. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you're now tuned into chapter 90. 90, damn.
Wow.
10 away from 100. Chapter 90 of the Introverted Intuition Podcast. My name is Jeff, a.k.a. the Ambitious Introvert, a.k.a. the Petty Podcaster.
Yes.
I've been petty recently, so I had to give the nickname in return. To my left, I have Mr. CR.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man CR, a.k.a. Conscious Rap, representing Jump Out the Frame, JOTF Records. What's good?
To his left, is that your left? Yeah. Laney, Miss Laney, Helena.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
Welcome back.
Thanks.
And to her left is Miss Coco.
Hi, guys.
And to your... We're just going around the circle. Left.
We're still left.
We have a very special guest, someone whose work was introduced to me by a friend who shall remain nameless, but she's a very big fan of yours. I don't want to put her on blast.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I just went through your Instagram page and saw some of your work, and I was very impressed, and I really wanted to speak with you.
Thank you.
So please introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Devery Velasquez. I'm from Texas, but I live in New York. Brooklyn is my second home. And I'm a writer, content creator. I'm a lot of things, but yeah. I'm like Tommy on Martin. You know, like y'all, no one ever really knows.
Word. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to get very hot in here. Hope you're ready for that.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Cool.
She got shorts on. She's good.
Yeah.
Before we get into like all the questions we have for you, I have a question for Conscious Rap, a.k.a. CR.
Oh, shit.
You posted on Instagram a broken bed. I just need some backstory. What happened?
Uh-oh.
Why was the bed broken? Why were you in Home Depot smiling?
Who broke it?
It was I, my partner.
Oh.
But it wasn't at one time. It was residual damage.
All right now.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
But the reason I posted it up was because I was like low-key pissed because like I was literally sleeping on my bed and then the middle just like crashed in.
Dang.
So now I'm just all like this. And you know, I'm not going to lie. For the first 2 days, I said fuck it and slept on it anyway.
Yeah, because
I wasn't like, where else am I going to sleep?
Yeah.
I have an office with a couch, but the couch is really small. It's like a love seat. So I had to sleep on that shit. And then I had an embarrassing moment. I went to Home Depot and I had to, get some plywood. I was going to get plywood at first. And then the guy was like, well, what are you trying to fix? I'm like, well, yeah, my bed broke. And he was like, well, how did it break?
does it matter, sir?
I looked at him.
Doesn't matter,
I looked
sir.
at him.
Nosy.
He was young, too. He was like, he was a young dude. I was like, and then he just started laughing and we looked at each other and I was like, yeah, man, I got to get this fixed immediately.
So get back to work, people.
Exactly. So he knew exactly what it was. And then we went and he said it would be better to get planks instead of plywood. So
Heard you.
had to fix that. Now I'm sleeping very comfortably.
Right.
The story I had in my head when I saw that is completely different from that.
Oh, what did you think?
I just thought you had a long day. You just had a big meal. You went to go lay down
Oh
back
my
comfortably.
God.
And you just fell through the bed and you were just shocked.
So you're one of those people that was calling me fat.
No, never. Not to your face. It's
worse.
It's
terrible.
But I'm glad I got that backstory. I was really curious about that when I saw it.
Yeah, it didn't happen in one night. It was over, we've been together for 3 years? Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. We're cool. How is everyone this evening? How's everyone?
Chilling.
Yeah.
Devery, what's your history with podcasts? Do you listen to them in your free time? Have you been on any prior?
Yeah. I started one recently, but it's kind of like morbid. Like I go to a deep place where I'm like, I could be real dark. I don't know if it's because I'm a Libra and like, I don't know. I'm just always, are you Libra?
I'm a Libra. October
What?
17th.
I'm October 16th.
Yes. Oh!
Yes, high five.
We on this side, Libra.
We over here.
Oh,
So yeah, I just, yeah, and I'm just constantly like trying to evolve myself and grow every day. Like I feel like that's why every day I'm alive, I feel like that's the whole point, is for me to just grow into like I'm just one of those people, I don't believe in like being stagnant or like ever being still. Like I'm a busybody. My brain is always busy. I have a lot of tabs open. So I feel like podcasts are like perfect, it's just a good way to stimulate your mind.
Do you have any podcasts in particular that you like? that you can name off the top of your head?
I like Oprah, like the OWN stuff, just because she's like one of my idols growing up. Watching her on TV like gave me so much hope, and she was the first reason why I ever prayed. Actually, when I was 8 years old, like I remember vividly, like my very first prayer was after I watched one of her shows, and there was something about her, how like her universal appeal, like that really drew me in. I was like, man, she is who she is. She looks like how she looks, and she's comfortable with that. But then she could still reach the people that she reaches, and I really admired that. I was like, I could still be me to my essence and to my core, but like I want to get to know as many people as I can, and like that's what it's all about, So
I like that.
Yeah.
I remember my first prayer, too. It was taught to me in kindergarten by my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Laura Sella, and it just stuck with me. I say that same prayer to this day before every meal, which is so crazy. I think it was probably illegal, though. She couldn't have taught me that in kindergarten. I don't think you can teach that. But.
You mean?
Well, yeah, we used to pledge to the allegiance, like we under God, one nation under God, and all that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It's changed now.
Do they still do that in school? Like,
I don't know.
With Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's interesting. With all like the craziness going on, I thought they would just be like, you know what, we don't want any problems. Let's
In
just cut it out.
In high school, when I thought I was woke, I just didn't pledge though. I was just like, I'm not pledging.
So you already taking a stand before Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm. My hands were down.
It's funny, back then in high school, I probably would have been judging you, like, yo, why ain't he standing? Like, what's he doing? You're not American, bro?
Just
Like,
chilling, bro.
so you were originally from Texas.
I'm from Texas.
What part of Texas?
Austin/Houston. Houston really raised me. Third Ward, Solange, like she has it down. But yeah, Houston really like is in my blood.
Could you explain to us what your experiences were like growing up in Texas? Like, was your childhood maybe?
I don't know if that's big out here, but like Houston is really like the home of like players, pimps, prostitutes, like all of that. So I grew up around a lot of that, and I took like positive aspects from that, where I learned early on like how to hustle, how to make money, how to defend myself. But at the same time, like I knew I wanted to go in a different direction with all that. Like I knew that there was more to life than the outcome of a lot of people that I knew. And so I just applied those same concepts, but like in a way that could make me money without making me, I don't want to be in trouble. I don't want to, I tried to stay out of that. But yeah, had some rough patches. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I am who I am, and like I wear all of that with pride. Like there's nothing about me that I can really hide. I am the same person in front of my grandma that I am like to my boss, to to my friends and my neighbors. Like I try to just stay the same, because it's important for me to just stay consistent.
Yeah.
How I
Keeps
show
your
up is how I show up.
Keeps you sane.
And did you, like, what you're doing now, like writing, content creator, did you gain those interests in Texas, or did it happen when you moved to New York?
No, definitely in Texas. I've only been here 2 years. I've been writing my whole life. So, and I started writing around like 8 years old. That's when I really started like writing. I was entering, my parents didn't even know, but I would like enter my own work into contests and stuff to try to like get money and like, little prizes and stuff like that. So I've always been like entrepreneurial in that way, where I was always thinking outside the box. Like I didn't want to just make a good grade, but I would take it to like local contests, like my essays, all that type of stuff. Or like I would enter like certain contests, like video contests and stuff. So I did that at a young age, and I realized like people liked my words. They liked how I wrote, and there was something about that, and then later on down the line, like I've been doing public speaking for about 4 years now. I realized awkward. It's awkward, but it's rewarding though.
How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 29.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
You
be
look
30 in
really
October.
young.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's good.
That's
yeah.
really good. Yeah.
Like, don't crack.
Bruh, you'll never guess how old they are.
No, I feel,
I got you. So I don't know why he puts us on blast like that, but whatever.
Wait, are y'all
I'm
sisters?
sorry, because y'all look so good for y'all.
Well, thank you, but I'm saying, like,
I'm sorry.
we're not that old. Like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't mean to
they-
offend y'all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was expecting like that's like a me comment. I feel like I would say that.
That's true.
By accident.
That's true.
Damn.
It was
There's a lot that goes into it though. A lot with the skincare and everything.
Cold water.
All of that, like
heard.
sunscreen. Even though they don't really make sunscreen for women of color, so it's like, but you have to deal with the ash a little bit if you try to.
It's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying, but
Could you send us like a list of all your products after the show so we can?
it's
be
a
good.
whole routine.
Word.
So what made you decide to move to New York?
I really thrive around diversity, like true diversity. And the thing with Texas is so big, but at the same time, like there's a lot of the same type of person. And I was just telling someone earlier, because I feel like I'm getting all my Texas friends slowly to like come out here, because I'm like
Recruiting them.
Yeah, I am. It's like I feel like the creative aspect out here is just so real, it's so raw, and it's natural. It's not like, it doesn't feel forced. Like I've had so many amazing conversations in just the weirdest settings, and it's like I don't even question it. It's not like I have too many great stories to, like, I can't even go back home and like get on the phone with my mom and tell, like, I'd be on the phone all night. It's just like, and that's what I love about it. It's not like a random like one-off situation. And so for me, like, it really, like, I'm so inspired by this city. Like it's so full of life everywhere I go, and I have so much content because of it. And I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but I'm embracing every moment of it. Yeah.
Was your family like receptive to you, like the idea of you moving out here? Because I feel like my perception of like Southern families, like they're kind of like, they just want to keep you close as possible. They're very loving and nurturing.
They worried, yeah.
So like, to let you fly off to New York, because the way I feel like New York is advertised like this crazy place. Right. So were they receptive to the idea at first?
Yeah, actually, like for a split second, my mom doubted it, but then it's funny because, like, I always tell people, like, my mom's black, by the way, my dad's Mexican, FYI. Like, I do think that matters. And I'll call my mom to check, like, double check with her, like, do I have a crazy idea? Is this just because I feel like moms universally kind of will check you if you have a really crazy idea.
Bring you back down to earth.
Yeah. But like this whole year, I don't know what she's on. Like, she really believes in me. And it's like, I'll call her with like some crazy idea. And I'm like, let me know what you think about this. And she's like, you're good. Like, they have so much faith in me that it's like, I'm like, man, y'all really trust me. But
it's a big part of taking on any endeavor to have that trust. Like, it just makes you feel like, you know what, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, I know that I see something in the end that's gonna happen, but I'm really happy that other people who I love and like who know me from day one, like, they see that same thing. So nobody worries about me. Like, it's just kind of crazy to think about it. But yeah, like, my mom, she's like, you're good. You got it.
She trusts that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
I feel like as all of us are kind of all, in a way, trying to seek like a approval from our parents. Like, maybe present certain ideas to them. So I remember for the while, like, the longest, I was like kind of scared to present my ideas and my dreams, because I feel like they would just be like, maybe you should do something else that's a bit more like guaranteed, like safer, money or safer, like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I remember the first time my dad showed his approval for what I'm doing. Like, he started texting, right? He's on Facebook. Oh God! So he sees all my posts and stuff, and he just sent me one day a really nice text. He was just like, "I see everything you're doing with your music." And keep following your dreams, and keep doing what you want to do. And he was a musician too, but we do two different genres. I'm Haitian, so he did compa, so he was singing and playing the guitar his whole life. So he, didn't get where he really wanted to get with it. He got married and had me. Hello, but
great.
Yeah. So it was good to get that. So I can relate.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. We try to act like, oh, we don't need anybody's validation or approval, but it's like,
it matters.
It matters.
It's reassuring.
Some people,
it's your family.
Yeah. The strangers, the outsiders, the social media followers, like, I don't even know you. I don't care.
Right.
But to the ones who know me, like, I'm doing this to impress you. I'm doing this for you to notice, I guess.
Because it's like, imagine if you had the opposite and they didn't believe in you and they said you're making a mistake, you're wasting your life. How would you feel? Like, that shit would be fucking.
You'll be hesitant in everything that you do.
Hesitant, and you just.
And there's a lot of people like that too.
And I had to really realize that once I got older, that everybody does not have supportive family, or they really have people telling them every day, like, yo, you ain't shit, you ain't never gonna be shit. Like, that's hard.
Yeah, it's dark too. And it's a shame. Like who can you turn to if you don't have your family, right?
Yeah. Who?
So what's like your main like I guess career path? Writing? Is that like your main?
Yeah, I'm a writer. For 7 years, I was a beauty editor for a magazine that's based here. And so I do work with them, but I work for myself. They're like a client now. So it's like I'm not in the office. It's not 9 to 5. I make my own schedule, and it allows me a lot of creative freedom for being able to own all of my whole day, like all of my projects. And so I only involve myself with things I'm really actually passionate about. And I'm blessed to be able to like say that. And that's why I'm like, when I have crazy ideas, I call my mom and I'm like, let me know, like, if I need to pull it back. And she's like, you got it. Go, like go 100 miles in that direction. And then she'll FaceTime me, and I'm like, put Dad on the phone, and she'll put him on the phone. He's smiling at me, and he's like, you got it. And I'm like, y'all are crazy, but like, thank you. Okay.
What was the last like crazy idea you had?
That I wanted to take like a 1-month solo trip to Mexico City, and I called her a few days ago and told her, and she was like, there's a lot of like kidnapping going on if you're going there by yourself. And she was like, why not, go somewhere else? And I was like, well, what about Canada? And I was like, that's not far from here. So, because I'm in between leases. So like June 1st is when my lease will be up, and I haven't signed yet for my July 1st one. So I'm like, this is actually perfect because I work from home. So I'll still be able to work wherever I'm at. And I can just go be in like new scenery real quick. And so yeah, I'm going to Canada, and I'm gonna just be off the grid real quick. Like if y'all don't see me on social media for a month, it's because I'm like living my best life in Quebec.
I've been to Toronto. It was really cold out there.
Yeah.
So dress warm.
Well, it's summer there, no? Isn't it going to be summer?
I think it's still cold.
They still have the seasons just like us. I don't think it's opposite, but it does get cold there when it's like winter.
When I was a kid, I used to fucking think it was snow all the time because of South Park.
Oh, look at you. Cute.
I thought it was really
you look like a
snow
South Park
time.
type of dude. Like that was your show.
What does that
Cartman
mean?
was my guy.
That's his show. Yeah.
That's my favorite character.
Yeah.
Get some poutine. Yo, get as much poutine as you can. Poutine is really good.
Yeah. I'm
It's
actually
so
going to
good.
be staying in a Haitian neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So, like, all the restaurants, I'm like, man, I'm going to be living off of plantains.
You have some good food. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Going back to like your childhood a bit in terms of like writing, like did you enjoy like English classes like a lot growing up, and like how did you really get into this love of writing?
Yeah, when did you fall in love with words?
Yeah.
Because I love words too.
Yeah. I remember when I was like 4 years old, that's when I read my first novel. And I remember that's when I remember telling my mom, because she got me the novel or whatever, and I think she was just getting it for the room or whatever, and I actually like picked it up and read it. I brought it back to her. I was so proud. And then I think that's when she realized like there was something different with my writing skill set, or reading and writing skill set. Because then I started writing like when I was 5. They got me notebooks. Every time they went to the store, I would ask them to get me more notebooks. Like that was how I saw them going to the store. I was like, can you give me a new notebook? And then I started like collecting pens, and I just got like really nerdy with it, where I was like I wanted to write everything down. And I started creating like fictional characters and stuff. But really I focused more on like real stuff, and I'm still like that now. I don't really there's certain types of movies that I like, there's certain shows I like. Never seen Game of Thrones.
Right.
Never,
you don't want
It's
to.
okay.
That's
You don't want
right.
to.
But I'm just like the whole fantasy thing, real life is crazy enough. So, I'm like, I have a lot of inspiration from like actual things, and I was always observing at that age. I was always like watching and listening to everything, and I would go and write it down, like my interpretation of it. And my dad actually has all of my journals going back to like 8 years old.
That's awesome.
Because he's like, he thinks there's going to be like a dairy museum one day, and he wants to make some money. So, so yeah. And basically, like, I've always been really accelerated with that. Like in school, I was taking college English courses when I was 16.
Shit.
And
I can relate.
but like
Same.
none of the other subjects, I don't know. Math, y'all gotta give me some time. Like, I gotta write it out and do the whole carry the number over. Because that's, like, not my forte. And, like, science, I could care less. But it's, like, English, like, when I look at a sentence, I know how to, like, construct it, deconstruct it, and, like, I get super, like, nerdy about it.
Can I ask you a question that a literary person would really like?
Yeah.
What is your favorite literary device to use when you're describing things?
What do you mean in terms of what?
Metaphors, similes.
Metaphors. I speak in metaphors every day, all day. People love it because I'm always like I'm trying to compare. I'm constantly like people say I speak in prose and poetry, like which I do. I'm always comparing things to very like poetic things, not just by nature, because that's it's like embedded in me. So people are like, "Ooh, that's romantic. That's this and that." I'm like, I'm just trying to get you to understand what I'm saying.
Right.
And but yeah, that's metaphor, similes all day. Yeah.
Later on, I want to present my book that I've been working on to you. I want to get your opinion on it. But do you remember like the first time you've written something and you felt like confident afterwards? Like maybe was it in school and you're like, yeah, this is really good. Maybe I could turn this into a career one day. Like
yeah. I don't remember. So when I was 8, I was in 2nd grade. I wrote this poem called "Don't Worry," and it was about 2 penguins, and it was just for like some random assignment in school. And I remember like I don't even know how I found out about this contest, but there was some kind of contest to enter my poem into the possibility of getting this book published, like a children's book. And I submitted it to that I don't even know how, like, I was 8, and I remember, like, finding their email, or I don't even know if we had email back then, but, like, doing the things I need to do to get this seen by these people. They saw it, and they published it, and they put it in their children's book. And I remember telling my parents about it, and then I invited them to the event that would showcase, like, this book. And they were like, what? Like, they had no idea that I was doing stuff like that. And so at that age, like, that's when I realized I don't need to just, like, once they grade the paper and I make an A, like, okay, what happens next? It just gets shuffled in a pile that gets thrown away. Like, I have to do something to honor, like, this clear, like, gift that I have, And it's not my gift. I feel like I was given it by something much bigger than me, and I want to honor that. And so that was a way of, like, memorializing all my work. And I try to always do that. Like, I'm not just taking a picture, or I'm not just, like, writing an essay for my health, or, like, doing stuff like this. Like, I want someone to come across this and really be inspired and, like, feel something, in anything that I do.
That's beautiful. Yo, the type of writings I really enjoyed back in the day in school is like, when you could present the picture and you just had to make your own story out of it. Like those are like my favorites, and that's why I got my love of writing. I remember my I think 6th grade teacher, Mr. Capron. You
remember all your teachers' names.
Oh, they're great.
I remember the
good
great
teachers
ones.
you remember,
Yeah, like you just never forget good
ones,
teachers, and like I think that's where my love of writing really started. What's like the hardest part about writing for you?
I think sometimes I could be redundant because I'm real big on, in friendships, like when I'm having conversations too, I'm really big on speaking in I statements. And because I tell people, like, I own everything I say. Like, if I'm saying it today, I'm going to say the same thing next week. I'm going to say it next month. And if something comes up in this conversation that's relevant, like, I'm still going to say the same thing. I'm pretty firm on, like, my ideas because there's something that I've arrived at. Like, there's something I've formed over a series of obstacles or experiences I've had. And so I do think that that's also my kryptonite. Like, that's not necessarily, like, people, if you're around me long enough, you're going to start hearing the same thing, because I try to stay consistent. And I want to brand my ideas into your head. Like, when you think of Devry, when you see Devry, she thinks this, or she's going to say this. And some people, like, they're like, you're repetitive, or you're redundant or whatever. And I'm like, That's all right. Like, you know, when you see me, when you hear me, like, you know
What to expect.
what to expect. Yeah.
I have a question. So, being essentially a wordsmith,
Yeah.
do you ever find yourself being frustrated with people who can't articulate themselves?
Oh, yes.
Especially when they're trying to tell you how they feel.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, like, I'll finish people's sentences for them. Like, because it's so annoying. I already feel like I know what they're going to say. You know? Like,
I relate.
even if I don't, though, like, because who am I? I'm not a mind reader, but I try to, like, get them going. And I know that's, like, offended some people. Or, like, in relationships, like, I was in a relationship for 3 years where the person, like, didn't know. They just were not. They couldn't speak. They couldn't. There was a lot of things they couldn't do in that area. And it was very frustrating trying to communicate.
Yeah.
We were always just on different pages.
Right.
I feel like not to be funny, because I'm a writer too. I feel like everybody at this table is on some level a writer. But I cannot speak to save my life. When it comes to communication, with things I have to say, especially in my relationships, I am a horrible person. I cannot say it verbally, but I can write it down to you all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have I can't even put my thoughts through text.
Yeah, I cannot. I'm not really good with verbal, but if you give me a minute, I'll be able to write you a nice 3-page letter about why I feel this way. Just give me a second, but I'm never going to be able to, I will never be able to articulate why I feel that way, period.
I had to learn how to be patient with that because my girlfriend is a Virgo and she's exactly
there you go,
like
Virgo.
Oh
Like,
my God! Virgos. That's the thing.
Virgo?
I'm
the
like
one you're talking about was a Virgo?
I'm talking to a Virgo now. In that situation,
they can't. Yeah,
it's hard.
horrible. Yeah, we
can't
do it. We cannot do it.
And do you deal with, like, you'll ask them, you know, for a question or something, they're silent. You know what I mean? Like, they're literally quiet.
Oh
like,
my God.
It drives me nuts.
Could it be a matter of they're dealing with their processing, they're dealing with their emotions?
I had to learn that, but it's still frustrating.
That word.
Because
I hear that word all the time. I'm processing.
Yes.
Like, do you want me to
She tells me that all the
process,
time.
or do you want me just to be
reactive?
Because if you want me to react, then it's not going to be the best thing. Because as of
That's what she says.
Virgos, we're a little off. So if you want to just
Thank you for the cosign.
Wait.
So
now
if
I'm
you just-
interested about
like,
Virgos.
if you just want us to react, based on what you say, then based on what you say, you may not like our reaction. So this is why we just be like, okay, hold on, and I feel like that's a mature Virgo, because an immature Virgo will be like, bitch, what you said?
Yeah.
But now we're just like, okay, hold on, like let me process your feelings.
And
because
Virgos get straight to the point. Like, y'all don't really like.
I'm
Sugarcoat
not
it,
gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, let me dance around your feelings. Like, no, like.
Yeah.
No, but I'm sensitive, so like, you know, like.
And I think
that's
that's
what
what
Like,
a little finesse.
I mean, like, you know I'm sensitive, so like,
my Libra,
ease into it.
is a Libra, and but I feel like I have conditioned her in her relationships now, because I feel like she's more of the Virgo, but she's all Libra. But I feel like the way she communicates sometimes with her partners is more like, because my sister was this way with me growing up, so I have no choice but to be a little bit more hard. Yeah. Because she used to be really soft, but now she's just like real quick with it. Like, what you say? Like, but that's because of me. But no, don't feel like that.
Wait, are y'all indecisive, Virgos?
Oh, hell yeah. I can't. Don't take me nowhere
Oh
to eat.
my
And it's like a
God.
6-page menu.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'm going to be sitting there like, damn, I'm hungry and I'm starving too.
Yeah.
Too many options.
Don't ask the Virgo what they want for breakfast.
They always know what they don't want. You can give
Yeah.
them mad options. Nah, I don't like that. We're going to get cheese. I don't want cheese.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I'm a little different. Like, if I got the munchies, I know exactly what I want. Now, if nobody...
So are y'all picky? I mean, are Virgos picky? Is your girl picky?
She, to an extent, she says she's not picky and she says she's not bougie. But when you put certain things in front of her, she will be like, what's that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Am I bougie? No. I know I'm not
But
bougie.
y'all
That's one thing I'm not.
But that's
I'm
the
not
thing.
bougie.
Y'all say that, but it's like because my perception.
No, but you know what it
I'm
is?
not bougie.
No, you know what it is? All right. I don't know if I'm going to
Go.
articulate this right.
Go.
It's not bouginess, but it can be mistaken for such.
Please.
Because when they are very set on what they know that they don't want, or they see it coming, they're like, I'm not going to want. They're very clear, like, I'm not going to want that.
They're very clear.
It can come off as bougie if somebody doesn't know them well enough.
That's exactly what I told my girl. Like, if I didn't know you, I swear you'd be the bougiest girl I ever met in my life.
I took a lot of my girls on their first date to Checkers in a Chinese store. Like, fuck that. Let's get this out the way. Can you hang?
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, Virgos are something else.
This
is like
a new beast. They make you grow, though. That's one thing, because they teach you patience. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like,
now we have to chill that we teach, like, first of all, we teach y'all everything but patience, maybe.
You think so?
Yeah. Like, we lead y'all. Don't, let me be very clear here. Everybody needs a Virgo. Kim's heard this speech before. Coco knows this speech. Without, what I always say to us?
What?
I'm earth, you're water. Like, you can't survive without me. Don't play yourself. Like, don't ever forget it. Okay, y'all? Just very clear.
Isn't a Libra like an air sign or something like that?
Yeah.
So you need air.
I never need air. That's the problem with y'all. Y'all finicky. Air's so flicky. For you to land a Virgo and you're such an air sign, like that would drive me. That would drive me crazy. I had an air sign. I was in love with the air sign. Like that is just probably the worst thing you could do sometimes as a Virgo. No disrespect. To you.
This is all like I needed to hear this. I know. Thank you.
Y'all a little flighty. Like sometimes one day I like them, next minute, and maybe that could be it too. Sometimes, like maybe one day you show interest, and next day you be like, "No, I'm busy. Chill. Like leave me alone." Mm-hmm. We don't like that feeling. Like you always have to need us.
Stop describing me. Stop. So what was like the moment for you that you decided to make writing like a career for you? Like, was there a particular piece that you written or someone's reception to it that made you give you the confidence?
Or did you always know?
Or did you always know?
I kind of always knew, but it was just, so I was living in DC and I got invited to come to a shoot here in New York. It was like a hair beauty shoot. So I came, and then instead of being the talent, I was taking more of like a behind the scenes, like director type of thing, because that's how my mind goes. I'm like, nah, I need to be doing something else, and I need to prove something to these people on the set that if anybody's hiring, like y'all got, I got you. And so I was like helping with the script and like the camera stuff and doing all that, and then I guess the director of marketing for this company in Austin, they reached out to me, or she came up to me and she was like, hey, we're looking for an editor or whatever, like a full-time editor position we have open, but you would have to move to Austin. And I was like...
Good job.
Sorry.
Nice.
Promoting us.
And I was like, yeah, because I'm, my family lives in Austin, my parents and my sister. So I was like, all right. So I think like within a few, and I was over DC. So within a few months, or not even a few months, it was like a few weeks, I was on the road. I was out, and I drove my car 22 hours to get to Austin. I started that following Monday. And and that's when I started like writing. Like that's when it was like a professional thing for me. I started freelancing, and then I started focusing full time on this editor position. So.
And that's kind of what you do now, similarly, like?
Yeah, basically. Like I've really like kept up with a lot of the contacts, and everywhere I go, like there was a point when I was traveling a lot, like every weekend for like a good solid year, and I was doing like speaking gigs and stuff on behalf of the company. And when I would do that, I would always finesse. Like I would be I wouldn't ever just speak and leave. Like I would stay around the events because they were like beauty and wellness events, and I would just make as many connections as I could. And I'm just a networker, so just finessing like everything, just trying to get info, trying to figure out like what's my next move, because Austin wasn't it for me. And I've always had my sights set on New York, like because to me this is the mecca for people who write, for creatives, and and so I came into the right situation. I actually convinced them to allow me to work remotely so I could keep that check. And, so I was full-time here for like the first 6 months that I was out here, still working just at my apartment and like making things work. And in the meantime, I was still like networking and I was doing my thing. And somehow things have been working out. I don't even know how, because it's like, it's one of those things where I'm like Tommy, like I can't even really explain like what I focus most of my stuff on, but I just do it, and I'm open to like a lot of things. So that's the thing as a creative, is like you have to be open-minded to it. If you're a true creative,
not just being in one lane.
Is your writing what kind of gave you a following on social media, or was it something else? Like, did you beat someone up on World Star or something? Like, did we miss that video?
No, I think it's really because I started Instagram because I have a chronic illness, which is I have a cane, because I'm due for like my treatment. I get a treatment once. I was getting it once every 4 weeks or so. Now I get it once every 3 months, and it's like a chemo-like treatment. But I have an autoimmune disease, that's like a rare disease for that. It's called Takayasu's. It's like a Japanese name. But I got diagnosed in 2011 when I was 20 years old. And I remember feeling so alone, and I was just in a really bad place. Like that was like the worst year of my life. And I remember my mom was like, "Why don't you get on Instagram?" Because it had just started, and it was 2012. She was like, "Why don't you get on Instagram?" And like, it was before hashtags and all that. And she was like, just post about like your hospital visits and all that. And so like, if you go back and like all my pictures in my page, you will see like a lot of hospital photos and stuff because.
With your MacBook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still working. Yeah.
I like that. I admire that.
That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. During that stay, I was there for 2 weeks, over Christmas and New Year's last year. That was traumatic because I didn't even take a shower for like 2 whole weeks. They didn't let me take a shower.
Oh, wow.
I was in the bed for like 12 days straight.
Are you serious?
With so don't,
That's so demeaning.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
but there was a medical reason for that, I would think, right? That they didn't want you showering.
No, it was just the hospital. They were
negligence?
horrible. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're not going to mention the hospital name.
Yeah, we're not.
That is horrible. Wow.
Yeah. No.
It was bad.
Wow.
Shout out to them for being shitty.
Super.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Yeah, and then, and so the thing is, I got laid off 2 months later. I got out the hospital. My job, I guess, thought I was too much of a liability because I missed like 14 days or whatever, because I had like blood clots, and so that's why they kept me for so long. And and then I got laid off, and I was like, I got to just find a way, like so. And I did. And that's when, like, stuff like that, when I'm calling, like, the family and I'm like, or I'm in the group chat and I'm like, what do y'all think? And this and that. And everyone's like, no, you're good. And I'm like, what do y'all mean I'm good? I have an apartment in Brooklyn. Like, I had a dog at the time. Like, what do y'all mean I'm good? Like, there's no way that I'm going to make it through. Like, I had no hope in myself, but somehow, like, my friends, my family, like everyone saw something else for me, and that was over a year ago, and they're absolutely right. I'm still here and I'm good. Yeah. So, yeah.
Shout out to your friends and your family.
They sound like a great support
Facts.
system. I think that's super critical.
Absolutely.
That was my support system when I was in the hospital. I was like institutionalized, and the worst time was like in 2013.
Yeah.
I was in the whole like holiday season.
Yeah.
Things like Halloween. I went in Halloween, so I missed Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
Wow.
It was like horrible. It sucked. But
what did that feel like to you? Because it's hard for me to explain that to people.
I didn't feel it. Felt fake. It didn't feel like it was my life. It felt like I was watching a TV show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then on top of that, they had me medicated because they won't leave you alone until you take the medication.
Right.
So I felt like a zombie. I felt my creative ability slipping away.
Yeah.
Even when I was trying to read, my vision would blur. So it scared me. And that's when I knew, like, I just got to do what they tell me to do for now so I could get out the hospital and, like, never come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they were trying to force me to take this medication that was just, like, making me a zombie. And it felt horrible. Yeah. Like, it was like, I tried freestyle. I can't even fucking freestyle. Like, I felt literally, like, mentally disabled. Yeah. And it was just like, nah, I can't do this.
That's crazy.
It seems like your family and your friends accepted your condition, your situation pretty fast and pretty early on. Like, how long did it take for you to accept your situation?
I mean, it still feels like I separate like my spirit from my body. So I think this whole thing has, ever since I got diagnosed, like it really taught me a lot about who I am on the inside. Because there was a point in my life in 2011 when I was on bed rest for a whole year and I couldn't walk. I lost my vision for a little bit. Like, yeah, I have pictures that don't look like me. Like, I was like 70 pounds bigger and like there was just a lot of things. My skin changed, my hair fell out. So I learned during that year to really separate my outside appearance from who I am on the inside. And like it's kind of hard, I think, like, to look in the mirror and to know, like, I'm like, this is all temporary. Like, I don't know how long any of this is going to last. Like, I don't know. You just never know. You never know if you might lose your arm tomorrow, or you might, something might happen. Like, that's just reality. And my question to myself every day in the mirror is, like, can I live without that and still be me?
I ask myself that a lot. I've thought so many times, like, what would I do if I lost a limb, or if I lost my ability to see or to hear? Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know if I admire and really give a lot of, like, praise to people who do suffer from those things and they still stay themselves. Because I have a friend who, was drinking and driving, ended up getting in a bad accident literally down the street from his house. He's in a wheelchair. Yeah. I mean, of course, he went through the motions and he was depressed. He went through things, but eventually came back, and he's still himself. He'll hop on 2K and kick your ass, talk shit. You know what I'm saying? Then I brought him to my school to do motivational speaking, his first time, to talk about drinking and driving, and it was just really dope. But I admire that, because for me, I don't know. It's like I can't imagine that. No,
that whole year was that's why it was really the worst year of my life, or just the darkest year. But it taught me the most. But that's when I got in the most amount of trouble. I felt like every day, I always tell people, like, I woke up every day and thought today's going to be the last day. Like, because, like, the way that the doctors, like, everything, the way that it was going, I, like, overheard my parents in the hallway of the hospital talking to the people about making funeral arrangements. And, like, hearing that, like, that does something to you.
Scary.
It does something to you.
That is so scary.
So, it does something to your spirit a little bit.
Yeah, a lot. And I was on bed rest. I couldn't even go use the restroom on my own. Someone had to pick me up and go put me on the toilet. Like, that's the type of, and I didn't like that. I'm so independent. So, like, that really messed with me. And I totally alienated myself from everybody. There were all these people who wanted to come be a part of, they wanted to help. And I still have that same energy now, and now I appreciate it. But, like, during that first year of my diagnosis, I didn't want anybody to help me. I was good in my apartment. Leave me alone. Just let me be. I'm about to die anyways. And, like, that's how I felt. And as a result, like, I got arrested a few times that year, and, like, just a lot
taking more risks.
Yeah, I took a lot of risks that year.
You lived at the same time, though.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna die, so I was like, I might as well go out with a bang. So I.
I feel you.
Wait, like,
yeah.
I feel
you really
you.
Try to rob a bank?
No,
go out with a bang.
This is trying to rob a bank.
Lay off the Hennessy over there.
I was going to say.
Lay off the Hennessy over there.
That'd be dope, though, if she got the money, though.
Set it off.
Set it off. I know, right? We all thought that when we saw that, right? We could hit it. Set it off type thing.
I don't think it's that easy,
No, it's not. It's not at all, but we all thought
it. If it was, we all would have done it by now.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm a good Samaritan.
I would have.
Yeah.
I'm a good Samaritan. I follow the law. I'm not trying to rob
What's the craziest thing you've done? I feel like you've done some crazy stuff.
I think so.
Why do you feel like that?
Sneaky.
I don't know. You're a Libra, right?
Y'all don't want to know.
They say that about Libras, that we're sneaky.
You guys are
This is
one of my best friends is a Libra.
This is not a Jeff interview. This is a Devery interview.
Okay.
Maybe next episode we can go into my past.
That was a political answer.
I don't have a past, actually. My life started today, so yeah, I have no past.
We got baptized in the world before you came here.
Right before you came here.
Lainey, stop it. Lainey, don't do this to me. Was like writing like your escape during those dark moments too? Like
yeah. I wrote like a whole book of stuff, and then I spilled like water on it. I remember like, I was so mad about that. I tried to save it, but like the water totally just messed up all my poetry. I wrote a lot of poetry. Basically every day I journaled, and I turned that journal session to a poem. And so like I have a poem called Everything Went Black, and it was about the first time that I lost my vision. It was for about 10 minutes. I was at the store. I was reaching for like some Febreze or something on the shelf, and then I remember while I was reaching for it, I just couldn't see anything, and it felt like I closed my eyes. Like when you close your eyes, like that's what it felt like. And I remember it was so weird, and I was with people, and I was trying to play it cool, so I just kind of like still reached for it. I picked it up, and I just stood there, and I remember they were like, Devery, you good? Like, let's go. And I was just sitting there because I was like, I'm not going to tell them that like I can't see anything. And it was weird. It was a really weird situation. And that happened a couple more times. where I was like painting my nails in my apartment, and then all of a sudden everything, it's like I closed my eyes. And those type of situations, like I'll never be able to forget that type of stuff. Like it really does something to you. But then I'm like, I am where I am who I am, and like it's a blessing. Like I believe in God. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I'm like, if you don't believe in something like that, look at me and like look at my life and know the things that I'm telling you, like this is real. You know what I mean? And like, and there's no other explanation for it in my mind. Yeah. Like that there has to be something that has given me so many chances, because there's a lot of things that I couldn't have right now that I do. And like simple things like my sight or the fact that I could walk, you know? So
do you chalk that up just to God, or do you think like you had anything to do with that as well? Like maybe your perseverance and your strength as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just me realizing and actualizing my gifts. Like I have the gifts. I didn't create the gifts or that skill set or whatever, but it's in me, and it took for me to, like, I have to do the work. I have to act on it. And that's what I think it is for all of us. Like, we all have something very unique and special, but it's like we have to realize that first. Like, that's the first step. And then when you realize it, now what are you going to do about it? Yeah. You have that skill. You have that talent. Now how are you going to act on it? And that's me recognizing the fact that I have a gift, and that's my prayer. That's, like, my way of thinking whoever gave me that gift. Yeah. So.
This is random and irrelevant, but your eyebrows are immaculate.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Immaculate.
Thanks. Notice the same thing, yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, my God. Don't look too close. Thank you.
I'm just like in shock of like kind of like your story. It's just super inspiring. Like
Thank you.
That's like a dark place to really get out of. Like I mean, I have my problems that have caused depression for me, but like that doesn't hold a candle to what you've been through. Like, how did you get out of that? Like, I mean, like.
But it does though. That's the thing is like, you know, I've realized we all have very valid survival stories. Like all of us are survivors. You know, what are they?
I'm a geek. I'm sorry.
There's mad Coke pouring over there.
Yeah. It's all fizzy. It's making like this little springtime fizz noise in the background.
It's still warm as hell. Like, I wish you bought this out of a fucking sauna. Like,
but you're still drinking it, guys.
Exactly. I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining. No, it's not a complaint.
I'm grateful.
It's not a complaint. It's a complaint. I'm just expressing what's real. It's real. Like, I'm being honest with you. It's a warm Coke.
She could have came up with nothing.
Word.
That's a fact.
And you're warm.
Elena, thank you for the Coke.
It's delicious.
Is that what you guys want from me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. A little gratitude wouldn't hurt.
You interrupted the guest speaking. Interrupted me listening. CR.
See how they treat me?
Ain't nothing to do with me, shit.
Switzerland.
I'm just watching. But wait, what was I saying about?
Like getting out of that dark space.
Yeah.
We're all survivors,
we're all survivors, and like we all have valid stories. There's things that I haven't been through that when I hear other people talking, like I'm like, whoa, that's, you know, to me it sounds crazy or it sounds intense, and I couldn't even wrap my head around certain things that people that I know have been through. So I think the whole point is just like it's so important for us to listen to each other and to believe each other. Like, if you're saying something, and that's like a big like movement right now, it's like believe women, but like believe everybody, you know, like everyone's valid, even if it's not the same experience you have, or it's a little out of line or offensive or whatever. If they say that they've gone through something, like you have to validate it. I can't ever minimize your issues just because I'm like, well, I went through this, I went through that. They're still your issues you went through, and you still had to overcome them.
Why do you think people like do that? Minimize other people's issues? They just discard it immediately.
Ego. Ego.
I feel I feel like that too. I feel like subconsciously everybody feels like their problems are bigger than everybody else's problems. Because in reality it is, because you're dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like I can like understand the person that feels like a small issue from me. You know what I'm saying? Your issue might be a small issue in my perspective, but for you it's a big deal. Yeah. I still got to respect that because maybe that is the biggest challenge of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It might, because there's some people where, you know, you look at me like, yo, this shit's not a big deal, but for them that might be the hardest shit they ever dealt with.
True. No, that's true. Like today, I was telling myself that because it was a conversation we all had before, and I think I minimized something that was said to me. I was just like, yeah, right, please. Like, nobody gives a fuck about that bitch. Like, she probably just saying that. But, you know.
Typical Virgo response.
Right?
Terrible.
Terrible, yeah, of course. But when you had said, you know, it's ego, like, I can speak for myself. It's not ego. It's just, like, some people really are full of shit. Yeah. And I can't help it that I'm so gifted, that I was given a gift that I can just read through some people's bullshit. So, yeah. It's a little different sometimes. I do feel like I do have to be a better understanding that everybody goes through certain things. And especially like the Me Too movement, I was very open in saying like, if you didn't say anything to the movement, that's because you was on the couch in some way or you was involved in it, but in the backhand. So it's just like, I get it. I'm not trying to, you know, make any women feel a way about certain things, but then sometimes it's just like, girl, we ain't got time for this. Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. I've always felt like I play the fence on some things.
I mean, I can't blame you, though, because there are, generally speaking, some people who are just, like, overly dramatic. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like, yo, chill the fuck out, smoke a blunt, and, like...
I've been called overly dramatic so many times. It's so crazy. And that's
because I feel like, you know, there are people who just want attention, and they feed off of that need for people to give them attention because, you know, everything is just going so bad. But it's just, there's nothing that's going bad. You just really... something has to happen for you to just you soak that attention.
I know. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I could admit that I am sometimes like that. I need attention. Yeah. I didn't get enough from my parents at one point in my life.
Hey, at least you know that that's a lot of times like that's mommy and daddy issues.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize.
I got those issues. I already know because it's like any little thing. Sometimes, you know. I call my girl. I'm like, I'm fucking sick.
That's all guys.
Men are so dramatic with that shit, though.
Yeah. We be having just a cough and like we feel like we dying.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, y'all have a low pain threshold, so
yeah, hell yeah. What?
It's different.
Fuck that.
I'm so methodical with like with the way I do things. Like when certain things just go wrong, it's like a glitch in the matrix. It just really affects me because it's like this isn't how it's supposed to be, like from my perception. So that's why I get so round up of like. Oh, I guess canceled or whatever. Like, why would they do that? Yeah, like,
yes,
yeah. It's.
I don't know what it is. I feel the same way. It's like little things everything.
Yeah. I take everything personal.
Yes.
Yo.
And that's the
this is why we're friends.
I really do.
We see that.
I really do. It's like
that's a Libra thing.
Yeah.
Because
take everything personal.
No, I try, but I'm aware of it, so I try to. The thing is, though, I realize that my emotions operate on their own frequency. Like I can't control my emotions, but I can't control my words and my behavior. Yeah. But I'm gonna feel what I'm gonna feel. Like you know what I'm saying? I can literally tell you I'm upset and I'm pissed off, but it's irrational and illogical. Like I will tell you that.
Yeah.
But at least I'm being real, because I know this doesn't make sense, but I'm fucking pissed. Like you should have given me my pencil. Like
if we and like for me, like if we know each other, like I'm gonna take it personally because we know each other personally. Yeah. So like if things just don't go my way, you're not receptive to something I express. Like I'm gonna get upset. Like
I'm sensitive.
I'm sensitive. I own it.
I wear it on my sleeve.
I cried the other day.
See, for me, it takes like a 2 second. I have like a 2 second delay. So like I'll do something or say something irrational, and then like 2 seconds later, I'm like, haha. All right. I'm just playing.
It never works, by the way.
It doesn't, because like the damage is done.
I hate that when people like,
feelings are already
joking.
Yeah.
I was just playing.
I don't hold grudges, like, and that's so hard. Oh my God, do Virgos hold grudges?
I give you the best.
Okay.
I give you mad props because
that's
hard.
We don't hold malice. Like it's not that we don't hold grudges. We won't hold malice.
I'm holding a grudge right now.
I feel like y'all are over analytical though.
Who we are?
Yeah, Virgos.
Yeah, I think they
are.
Y'all like are always thinking.
You know what it is? My mind is my playground. It's like the best thing in the world. It's like I don't need nobody. I just need me and my playground, and I can stay in there all day.
That's such a Virgo mentality.
I don't mean like that. I don't need like. Of course, I would like somebody sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
But your happiness doesn't depend on anybody outside of you. That's what you're saying.
That's good,
huh?
Your happiness doesn't depend on anybody outside of you.
No.
It's not contingent on the other people.
Because I could be with somebody for like 5 years and be miserable. Like, and they could be like the best thing for me, and I'm just like, oh my God. You make me sick, like the way you chew, motherfucker. Just sit out. That's a lot of things. Like we're funny like that.
My girl definitely used to get on me because I used to chew my mouth open, and I know it's not good, you know. But I grew up like that. My family
will do something stupid like that, but we will have like the messiest. Like we'll probably do something as nasty as like hawk and spit every time. Like we're like we will hate for you to do something, but then we will have like the most unladylike or something.
Hypocrite.
Exactly. But I say that all the time.
It's not about being a hypocrite because we know who we are. See, let me just be very clear. We know who we are, and we don't need nobody to tell us our faults because we know all our faults. Like we know our shortcomings. We do. I can tell you all of my shortcomings, but why? It's none of your business.
Oh, that's so Virgo. Oh my gosh, this is such a Virgo.
Just tell me when you're wrong. Like, just admit when you're wrong. Like,
I can admit when I'm wrong.
No, but do it.
Do
like,
y'all?
I do.
To me, like in conversation, like tell me, like yo, I was wrong for that.
Was I ever wrong in any conversation with you?
If you give me time to think, yeah, for sure.
I can.
Let me process.
Let me process. Post interview, I'll tell you the times you were wrong.
I can debate that down. I don't know about that.
Sure. So, like, there's no linear trajectory to pretty much anyone's life and career. Yeah. Like, did you feel confident going into what you're doing now? Or did you have some hesitation at first?
Yeah, I meditate all the time. And, like, I'm really intentional about everything. But, and I feel like I have this instinct. Like, which I guess I feel like it's God or something speaking to me. Something, like, that's not always me. But it's, like, telling me to move in this direction. And I listen. And every time I listen, I'm always like, we get it right.
My friend, are in tune with the flow of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
I wish I listened more, but I just don't. That's my big problem. Not listening.
I feel like, and I see a lot of signs. Like, I'm really into, like, numbers and all that.
Me too.
Same.
So, like, if you ever see, like, the same numbers over and over again, like, that means something.
Definitely
you know?
And recently, I usually see the same number. It's 27. But recently, I had an interesting... I had an interesting experience where I was just thinking of random things, and I happened to pass people, and at a certain point, they were speaking, and the first word out of somebody's mouth in that particular group was 27, and the second person was like, yeah, 27. And just the fact that I met up with them right at that moment, it was just weird for me. Like, okay, I'm on the right. I always think I'm always on the right path when I see it, but then when I heard it was like, whoa.
Are you guys into like numerology and all that?
I'm starting to get into it more. Yeah.
What's the life path number and all that? Mine's 11.
Mine's 7.
You're an 11?
Yeah, I'm 11.
Mine is
destined for greatness.
So like, I see.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna need you not to get hung up on that. No
I
funniness. No, I want you to believe it, but I want you to not get hung up on, because one thing about Jeff, he will get hung up on the destined for greatness, and then he will include his own magical timestamp.
I don't like that you know me.
Okay, so this is the thing. Like, I feel like God, like, I want to be a writer, and God is calling me into the direction of doing this other shit. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that. My family's going to think I'm weird. My mom already thinks I'm weird by the shit I do now.
Can't just think everybody's weird, so it's okay.
And I'm just like, that is true. Cancer moms is crazy. And I'm just, but definitely, like, don't get caught up. See, I know you, Jeff. I know everybody in the room. But not because I want to know y'all. Because freaking shit.
I don't know. I've researched that like a while ago, and I don't think about it like craziness. Like, I don't think about it all the time, but like I don't forget it.
No, yeah.
I recognize that it exists.
You are destined for greatness, but I would need you not to put your magical timestamp behind it. That's
I think what she's saying is there's no time limit on greatness.
There isn't.
There's a time limit on life.
Time don't even really exist.
That is such a Libra thing.
Yeah, because
for me,
if you're
like,
destined
time
for greatness,
is
then you should always keep in mind that you're not going to die before you reach your greatness. Or it was something that came into to me last night, that a lot of us are not going to reach our greatness until we die, and we have to be okay with that.
I'm not okay with that.
Why?
And that's your ego talking.
Get yourself okay with it.
I can relate though, because
this is not all there is.
I know it's not okay, but it's like, I do want to see my own fucking greatness, but I know most likely I won't.
But it may not be in the exact way you envision it.
Right.
I'm sorry, you were about to say something. You got cut off like 3 times.
You're talking about your life path number.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's a number that I always see that I actually take pictures of. Like, I have a whole folder of like hundreds of photos that say 666.
I'm a perfect 666.
Really?
I got 6 6s in my license plate, my license number.
Really?
Really?
See, that's what I'm saying. I have literally hundreds, because every time I try to stay in tune. Like, whenever I see the signs, I'll like take a picture. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be late for the train, whatever. I'll sit there and I'm like, there was a reason why I stretched my neck, and I just happened to look up and see this number. Or like,
do you think about your thoughts when you see the number? Like, do you correlate it?
Yeah. And it's basically like, it's an angel number or whatever, and it's like your angel or spirit guides, like they're trying to tell you.
You're on the right path.
Yeah. And so I smile. Like, I'll just randomly smile, and I'm like, yeah.
Is it me, or does that always happen when you're having those moments of doubt?
Yeah.
When you're just like, yo, I don't think I want to fucking do this anymore. I give up on this shit.
It's always very strategic.
It's
You'll
very
you'll be
strategic.
thinking about something or going through something, you'll look up and there it is.
Yeah.
It's always precisely where in your line of vision. For
Literally.
example.
Right.
So,
I remember for me, like, the most recent one I can remember is just like, before I went to Cali last week, I really felt...
Stunt.
I knew that was coming.
No.
In my head, I heard Baller, and it was coming from him. I get it.
But listen,
Stop knowing me. Stop knowing what I'm going to do.
before I left, yo, I was feeling so discouraged about music, about my record label, about everything, because I was just like, yo, I feel like I'm doing all the fucking work. I feel like, you know, this shit's... It takes sacrifice. Am I willing to do this fucking sacrifice anymore? And I was just like, I don't know. I'm going to go to LA, try to find some fucking inspiration.
Yeah.
So the whole time I'm on there. For some reason, I'm at Terminal 7. Life path number is number 7. And I just keep seeing the number 7 for some reason. When I went to go pick up my baggage, it was at baggage Terminal 7.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Answering you.
So it was just like, all right, universe.
Yeah.
I won't give up.
Right? That's what it is. It's like a conversation. Like
It
a
is.
conversation.
I
that
have a
it's having
different
with you.
relationship with the universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has their own special relationship with the universe or God. I use the words interchangeably. So it's just like, I feel the same way. It's like right when you're like at the rock bottom, and it's just like the universe won't let you give up.
Right.
It's so weird hearing him say that, because like he literally has been one of my main inspirations like throughout my journey as well. Because like I compare myself a lot to other people's journeys. So like I don't know, CR being like kind of like directly in my vicinity, like I'm proud of you. Like, so I think you're killing it. So like just to hear you hear like that doubt is
We all
just
have moments of
crazy.
doubt, though. So you know, we're
It's
human.
crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like when we were talking about recognizing our own greatness, the thing about being in your own greatness, you'll never see it the way other people see it.
Right.
Yeah.
You will never see the greatness that other people see when you're performing or when you put your work together.
Yeah.
Because as an artist, you're always critiquing, you're always looking at the faults, you're always looking at what went wrong.
Yeah.
And that is the gift and the curse of being an artist. I'll never like really see the greatness that other people see in me. That's why I need people around me to motivate me, because sometimes I sometimes I feel like a fucking bum.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But people look at my Instagram or look at my life and be like, oh yeah, but you're traveling, you're doing XYZ, you own a company, but yeah, nigga, but I don't have any eggs in my fucking fridge. You know? Like,
this shit is hard out here. Like, bitch, my lights is gonna get turned off. It's about to be real.
yeah, I'm eating fucking spinach leaves again tonight.
Yeah, you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes it just gotta be peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't eat bread right
next
now.
week, peanut
Oh.
butter and
Really?
jelly.
Yeah, because I'm like, on this whole fitness journey. It's been going great though.
For real?
I haven't
Oh my
eaten bread
gosh.
and like pasta or bread and anything.
Well, I have to remind myself to eat, but that's just because
Same.
I be busy.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I had something so good to say and I forgot it.
It'll come back to you.
We're
It's the
talking
Henny.
about life path numbers, right?
We're talking about life
You
path
being
numbers.
inspired by CR.
Yes.
And I appreciate that, man. That it touches my soul.
Really?
Aw.
No,
Yes.
seriously.
Yeah.
When people tell me they're inspired, like there's people that told me they were inspired by me to go back to college when I dropped my song Graduation.
Yeah.
Like when people tell me they're inspired by anything that I do, like I take that so seriously because that means more than millions of dollars.
I'm
Yep.
truly inspired
It
by
means
all
so
of
much
you
more.
individually and collectively. Like, it's just like, I just feed off the energy of other people. Like, I feel like mine isn't
Yeah.
enough at times. So, like, I have to, like, find the inspiration in other people. And, like, I know what I was going to say. I feel like I get, like, I acknowledge, like, that clock, like, that timer, like, of my
yeah.
existence because, like, I don't know. I feel like, I've been realizing, I feel like my purpose is, like, to give more layups and assists and, like, dunks and, like, three-pointers, whatever. Like, I just feel like I'm just meant to be here to facilitate and help other people grow. I feel like
I feel that way too.
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I'm just not meant to make my dreams come true, but to help other people come true. So that's why I kind of acknowledge that clock sometimes, because I feel like I gotta help this person. I gotta help this person. I gotta help this person. Like, what if they don't make it
I'm the
by this
same
time?
way.
Like,
But
yeah,
don't
like
you think you do that because it makes you not focus on your own greatness? Like that's also like a
Like
I feel like I care about other people when I
Yeah.
care about myself.
I feel like that's a smoke and mirror.
Yeah, I think you might use that as a distraction because
like,
you're afraid
I don't really
of your
buy
own
that
greatness.
bullshit.
Oh, that's real. That's
Sorry.
I think you're
I've
afraid
heard
of your
that
own
before.
greatness.
Yes, that's why I'm sitting
You're
here like,
afraid of it.
you want to be great, but then you're sitting here and you want to be the alley oop man. Like, shut the fuck up. You can only be one. Like, stop
Be
that.
Kobe Bryant, goddammit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Shoot
yeah.
the ball, Kobe.
And I feel
It's
like-
hard
and
to
this
like
is
have that. It's
why-
hard to even say that. Like,
But this is
Because
why
you're
You're not-
humble,
you're
but
not
it's
used to
okay.
that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But you can't-
You
okay.
can still be humble.
I love this whole humble word, but you cannot be fake humble out here. If you're gonna be humble,
Yeah.
be humble. But let's not be fake humble. Let's not be sitting here like, oh, but I want everybody to win. Because if you don't want everybody to win, be real about it. Be real, and the
Yeah.
universe will reward you for being real. You cannot tell the universe, oh, I want to be great, but I want to give everybody the alley oop. Like you can. Everybody
Can't be
can rise
both.
to greatness with you, but it cannot be both when you first getting started out.
And I agree with that. And that was something I had to learn because I started off everything like with my company. The reason I started getting like people to follow me is because I was literally servicing and trying to help everybody I knew. I knew so many people who were artists. I do them free photography.
If you keep taking from your
free-
bricks, if you keep building a house, you keep taking from your bricks to give somebody else a brick, you're never gonna finish. You're never gonna finish
You got to
building
build
your house.
yourself
Never.
first.
You gotta
and
build
then-
yourself
yeah.
first, and then you
I
can give
agree.
back and help everybody else. So
I
Jeff,
agree.
you have to figure out what you want to do. Either you want to build your shit up right now, or you want to keep giving your bricks out.
You gotta keep them bricks, dog.
See, but the way I see it is like it's like a selfish and a selfless thing. Like
Yes.
from my perspective, like I'm always trying to get everybody to win. I want everyone to win. And at the end of the day, even if you're doing the alley oops, you're still on the team.
True.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's still a team effort. It's still a collaboration.
So then you build your team, and then you go from there. But you just can't be giving the alley oop to everybody.
Yeah,
no.
that's
It's only to
true.
the people who like
So you
directly
build-
who I
yeah.
connect with.
that you
like,
Build
and that
your
you believe
team.
in, right?
I
People
truly
that
believe
you
in, like,
build
yeah.
your team, and
Absolutely.
that means the people you get the people you put into, they put into you too. So you
Yes,
have a whole
it
team,
has to
and
be a
everybody
two-way
is just
exchange.
watering
It
each
has
other.
to
Yeah,
be.
everybody's watering each other.
And
You know,
then it's one
I think
big
I
garden.
think I feel the way because I've never gotten it back. So like I feel like I
We
just
don't
have to
water
keep
you,
giving
Jeff?
it out. No, not no.
I was about to say,
Present company
No, I mean-
excluded.
And
Oh,
I'm
the
talking
fat
about
guy.
like prior
Oh, the fat guy.
post like you guys being being on you guys on the show. Like I never got like genuine support for anything I did,
Yeah.
and I had to
So
cut
let
off
your
like
guard down. And
I had to cut off
and
real
feel it.
friendships and like
Yeah.
because of that.
But look where you are now.
Because you feel like your friends didn't support you.
Yeah,
You had
Like,
to go through that.
Why?
Yeah.
It's
Why
it's
wouldn't
part
you
of the
want to
process.
support your friend? Like even if you
Yeah.
even if you have you guys all have so much going on, right? But you're still here like almost every other week to be here and record with me, right?
And I feel bad when I don't get here. Let the record show.
I
I'm not
do
here.
feel. I feel like it's a
awful,
damn job. I
okay?
feel like I
Yeah.
just
So like
no call, no show.
don't-
I'm not
don't
here.
give me the too busy excuse. You can give out an hour a day or 30 minutes a day, whatever, to support me. So like when people close to me for years, so like who gave me that excuse, I was just like, you just don't want to see me. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
At some point you do have to analyze it. Like
maybe it's
I feel
envy.
you don't
maybe
want me
it's
to win.
jealousy,
Yeah.
whatever.
People don't want they don't want people this is the ego thing, and it's also like people are afraid they don't want anybody shitting on them because they're not doing anything with their gifts. And so anyone you are a threat to that. When you're around people who are not doing anything with their gifts, they don't like that. So that doesn't mean they don't see it in you. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want you to know that you have it.
And on top of that, you're a constant reminder of their inability to pursue their
Boom.
dreams. People who are not on, in the correct flow with the universe, they despise people who are. On the correct.
Despise.
They despise you.
Yeah.
Like they don't even know why they hate it.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
hating on you. They don't even know. It's so ingrained into their subconscious. They don't even know why they're upset or jealous, and it's because they are not on the right path.
And I go through that with family. I feel like that's something I'm not very vocal about, but like nobody really in my family believes in anything that I'm doing. So every day that I get here, every time I do this, is always like I have to want it just as bad as I want it, because if I don't, then it's just like I'm
Right.
not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that driving force behind me, like, oh, do this, I believe in this. They just like, no, bitch, go get you another 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That's why, like, last episode, we did the don't sleep segment. I was talking about, like, don't sleep on, like, humanity. Like, don't sleep on
Yeah.
the fact that good people really exist, people who really support you exist. And, like, I really mean that. Like, I'm eternally grateful for anyone who comes on this show, like you, and you guys showing up each week, because, like, you guys reminded me and, like, revitalized the idea of good people to me.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were all gone.
Yeah.
So
There's a few out there, I'm not the don't let Jeff fool you. I'm still a thug out here, people.
Oh,
Okay,
Like the old school saying,
she
salt
will
of
rob
the earth
you.
people.
She will rob you.
No.
If
Y'all ever heard of that?
Not
Salt
that
of the
damn
earth
nice.
people that are like, they're just good and like, they're
Yeah.
gonna show up for you. They're gonna motivate you. They're gonna.
I'm here for the good of the earth. I'm here for the good of the movement. I'm here for the good of the it's beyond just the culture. It's like the whole universe. And I've always said that unless you're willing to self-sacrifice, I really don't know what me and you can really talk about. Because it's bigger than all of us here.
It is.
You're doing exactly kind of what you want in life right now, right? You feel like a sense of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like freedom is a space where responsibilities aren't everything, right? So like you could just really do whatever you want each day. Like, how does that feel? Because I'm kind of trying to transition out of the 9-to-5 life into doing what I want.
It feels it's a lot of things. Like there's some moments where it's overwhelming, like because I'm my own boss, and so like. Sometimes I don't feel equipped to like hold myself accountable. I wake up and I'm like, I don't have a certain time that I have to wake up. I can just wake up, and then when I do is when the work day starts. And so I have to put myself on a schedule, and I have to check my own calendar. I have to check my own emails, and like I have to tell myself I'm my administrative assistant, I'm my accountant, I'm my HR, I'm my lawyer. Like when it comes to like me vouching for myself for certain things, like it's me. And so that it can be overwhelming, but it's so rewarding. Like I wouldn't trade that for anything right now. Like this is exactly what I asked for. Even when I didn't know this is what I was asking for. I was praying and asking the universe to show me signs of like what I'm meant to do and to give me freedom, because I am very much like, I feel like in a past life or something, I was something with wings. Like I don't know if I was a butterfly, an owl.
I'll say fairy.
Something that had wings that never wanted to stay put in one place. Like
little fairy.
Yeah,
I was an owl in the past life.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't know. I like
really
fairy
mean that.
better. I see it. I don't know.
For
fairy.
me, I'm not talking about her.
Oh, I see fairy.
Fairies
I'll
aren't
take
real.
that. Yeah.
What? Fairies are real.
First of all, get out this. Like, what's wrong with you
God.
people?
Jesus in
You
heaven.
think this stuff just came out of somebody's imagination?
Right.
So we just made it up and kept
It
repeating
just
it.
happened that way.
You know what's funny? I say that I agree, but like I don't know why I said that, because I really agree with that.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things in quote unquote mythology.
Like all the
Sure.
and
we
get you.
It was here.
Dragons
Definitely
were
was
real.
here.
Fairies
Dragons,
It
were
was
real.
here at
all
one
that
point or
shit.
another. We
Game of
Mythical
Thrones is real?
creatures. Yeah. Was it?
dragons and all that. Yeah.
Hey, yo, that Henny just hit me.
Yo, calm down, bro.
I'm calm.
Calm down.
Wait, can
I'm
I do like,
relaxed.
this is for the story? I'm gonna put it on mute though.
Sure. I'm nervous.
Just
What's what happened?
because, no, it's just.
Hey.
Well, I'm gonna put it on mute.
Hey.
Like they don't know what we're saying.
Oh.
She said that beforehand, but we all
Exactly.
proceeded to go, hey.
Not me.
No,
I was
no,
thinking
but
Henny.
this
That's a Henny
isn't
answering.
on
That's
mute.
what it
This is
is.
still a podcast. People are
That's
listening.
Okay, that's true.
You know what I mean?
They
So,
don't know.
hey.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Covering his tracks. Bastard.
Do you have anyone, any writers or
That you looked up to.
Yeah.
So this is what I was
Finish my
gonna
sentence.
say that kind of ties into what we're talking about, like, or you said something that was like so profound about, are we okay with the fact that our greatness might not be noticed or seen until after we die? I think about that obviously a lot. I think about death a lot. And
Me too.
Me too.
I went recently to the Emily Dickinson Museum, which was her old house that she grew up in. It's somewhere in Massachusetts, and she's like a famous poet. She's like one of the most famous female poets in America, and in the world. And what I thought was interesting is that she never left that house. She left the house twice. She died when she was 55.
Agoraphobia?
Yeah, she was like,
Wow.
she
I
was
didn't know that.
super like a recluse. She would look out the window and write, and she wrote 1,800 poems.
Mm.
Now, 100 of those poems got published while she was still alive, because she would send them as letters, love letters and stuff, to her brother's wife, who was her lover. But she would, and so she would.
That is crazy. I didn't know that part about
Yes.
Emily Dixon.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, she was.
Listen,
There
I'm
was a
telling
lot.
y'all, there's be a lot of people playing for the same team. I'm here for that. I want to be
That
a fly
is
on the
so
wall
saucy.
out here. Keep talking.
Yes.
So 100, give or take 100 of those got published, because I guess like her a lover, whatever, slash sister-in-law was like, she understood like, oh, this Emily has a gift. So she was going and like publishing the poems. Now that still leaves 1,700 something that didn't get published till after she died. And now we revere her as one of the most one of the greatest of all time. And I think that was something that was huge for me to like learn when I went there. Was like, because as creatives, like a lot of time I have this issue where I hold on to my stuff.
Yes.
Like it's like my baby, and I'm like, I don't know if I want the world to like see this yet, and I kind of like hoard some of my art, and and I sit on things for so long. Like I've written a book or I've written this and that, and like no one will ever know, and I don't know if I might die and like no one ever saw it. But I'm relying on people who know me and love me, care about me, to actually like go through my archives, go through my stuff, and go put it out there. I need y'all to put it out there, and I trust that, and I think that ties into what you were saying, and to me that's legacy. Like I don't need a street or like a library named after me, but like legacy is a lot of times like
for your words just to be immortalized.
Yeah,
and somebody to come back to and just be like, yo,
yeah.
It's like how I felt about William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Glad the days that I read anything that he ever wrote, because it's just like there are some writers, there's some authors who you just always want to you hold dear to your heart.
I'm afraid right now. You literally just said everything that's been on my heart. Like,
and that's a message for you to go.
There you go.
That's crazy.
That was the universe.
The universe provides.
Bro, that's
I
literally.
feel like this is a universe, a conversation powered by the universe.
Sponsored by the
Facts.
universe. Brought to you by
Jesus
the universe.
Like, like this book I've been working on. Like, I put the idea out. I've said it multiple times on the podcast, but like, I don't want anyone to see it.
Yeah.
I don't. Not that I don't think anyone's worthy. It's just like I'm scared.
Right.
Like,
You can't
do
be
you
scared
get
of-
any criticism, like, ever, like, for anything you've done? Have you presented some
All the time, like, especially like in my dating life, it's because I say a lot of truths about myself, and like I criminalize myself in certain things that I've written. I write a lot of personal essays for different like magazines and stuff, and like I said, I'm big on speaking in I statements. Like, so I only speak from my personal
What
experience.
magazines are these? Like, I'm so interested right now.
I mean, I got you. It depends on what subject, because it's literally like I write about everything. So, but like for example, I wrote an article one time that about like why I never want to get married. Like I want to have children, but I never want to get married on paper. I don't need to do that, like because that would be making the government like my God.
Yeah.
And like I don't need that in order to like validate my connection or commitment to somebody. And so that's like a controversial opinion, I guess, and I have like a lot of those. And so when I'm writing something and it gets put out there, it's like I have to own it. And that's scary. And it, sometimes people can use that against you when you're dating. It's like people will nitpick at everything I say, or they'll think that something was about them or whatever, and it could have been. But
Thank you for the content.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like I still have to own it. And so that's the scary part, is like you can't go back and be like, "Hi, I was just kidding." Like that's something that like people read. When they come up to you, like they'll say, "Oh, I remember you wrote that piece about blah blah blah, and that's how I found you." And I'm like, yeah, I wrote it. And they're like, what's your take on that? Like I have to own those opinions. And if anything, it's really strengthened and sharpened that sword that I had, those weapons, like, because I really have to own them.
Yeah.
I have to hold myself accountable for those thoughts. And we're allowed to change our minds about stuff, obviously, but I have to acknowledge the fact that I even had that thought to begin with. And that's like one of the tamer things that I could think of, but I have a lot of unpopular opinions, and and I say them, and I write them, and I speak them, and it's not an Instagram story that goes away in 24 hours, when it's published.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that's like the hesitation, is that afterwards, like, yeah, you would be branding yourself permanently based on what you're writing, and like, are you ready for that? Are you ready for it to be? Imagine yourself. This is a practice that I have. Every time I pass by a bookstore, I go in the bookstore, I look at the bestseller list, and I imagine my book being on there one day. And it's just like a ritual thing, a thing that I have, because I really believe that my work is worthy of that one day. And I'll go and just stare at it at the shelf or the table or whatever, and I'm like, my book is gonna be right here propped up in the window. But like that's a lot of pressure. Yeah. I have to think about. So what if that's the case? They see my name and they know my face, and then I'm walking down that same street after I'm a bestseller. Like people are gonna look at me and not have to say anything to me and know my deepest, darkest secrets or know certain things about me, because it's like it would be a memoir. It'd be something that'd be really telling of my history. Am I gonna be okay with that? And that's something I'm still trying to deal with. I'm still holding on to that. I'm like, I don't know. Like my grandma might read it, like
they
people,
say if it's embarrassing and that it's hard to put out there, it's worth putting out there. They say that, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people who are writers or a lot of people, they say, because I mean, let's be honest, like some of the best work that I've read would be some of the deepest, darkest secrets of some of the biggest idols that you can look up to. It's just like being that vulnerable and being that personal. You reach so many people. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And it is a sacrifice. Yeah. Because you are sacrificing that particular privacy that you have on that moment you've had, that memory that you're sharing. Yeah. And you have to allow other people to formulate their opinions about it. It's not easy. Right. But as an artist, I feel like that is an obligation. Yes. As an artist, you are obligated to share your life, because there are people who do not know how to articulate themselves well enough to share themselves or share their experiences. And I feel like that is the gift and the curse of being an artist. Yeah. We need to know what you've been through.
That's true.
Yeah, you do music, so you know that too. Like, so
I don't know if we need to. I would say that like
we can put pieces of ourselves in our characters.
Of course.
I think the part that's not up to us is how they interpret it.
I agree.
Yeah,
facts.
So like, control over that.
Once it's out there, it's out there. Like,
I agree.
Like the Bible,
and that's what scares us. And that's what scares us.
Which version? There's many versions.
That's what I'm saying. But it's interpreted many different ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have like a kind of a relatively large social media following. Like, are you receptive to any comments or all the comments that they give, whether it's positive or negative?
That's the thing. Like, I mostly get positive stuff. Like,
I believe it.
Yeah, it's kind of like weird because I do have like a lot of suggestive whatever. Like, I'm okay with showing my skin and like, because I think sex does sell. Like, that's how we've been trained as a society, is like to think that someone who has less clothes, like you can imagine like other things with them. But I think I try to be like an anomaly in that way, where I'm like, okay, I'm looking this certain type of way, but I'm talking about some deep shit. Like, so it's like a mind fuck. It's literally like a mind fuck. It'll be something that's like provocative in the eyes of society, whatever. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm about to go deep with it. Like, I'm mind, body, and soul. So,
I noticed that about your captions on your Instagram. It'd be like a super sexy photo with all her tats and everything, and then a super deep caption. I'm like, oh.
Like, I follow you. Like, so like, I've seen you just always end up in like empty subway stations after you saw us. Like, that's creeping me out. Like,
I know. Like, ever since I saw that, like, I'm always in subway stations by myself. And I always try to record it. Like, there's a lot of times actually when I don't, and I just savor the moment because I'm like, man, I'm really alone. Yeah. Like, and like, nuts. But I show it on my like stories and stuff because I want people to know, like, I really be out here like alone, and I'm gonna do it regardless. Like, I don't need a clique, I don't need a team. Like, I'm really out here by myself. Like, and I think that it just backs up like everything that I'm doing that could be crazy, could be out of my mind, but I don't know. Something's covering me. Something's always protecting me. So I never feel scared. I'm scared of animals. I'm not scared of people though.
What animal scares you the most?
Anything that crawls. Like, anything that crawls. I don't like birds. Like, I don't like squirrels. I just don't like birds. I don't like animals. They're nasty to me. But like people, no, because I can see people's souls. Like, so a lot of times, like, a person who can present themselves as scary and big and whatever,
you see right through it.
I see right through it.
You ain't shit.
I mean, I've written this essay actually about like how I got robbed one time in broad daylight And I remember telling him something, and like he damn near like broke down in tears afterwards. Like after he robbed me, I was like, he had just gotten out of prison. It was in Baltimore, and I remember like after he did that, he did it very smooth. So we were around a lot of people, and we went to the ATM. We did the whole thing, and I was like, I'm only doing this because you said that you're trying to get back to Philly where your mom is. And I said, I want you to think about your mom when you get there, and I want you to kiss her on the cheek and think about me. Think about what you had to do to get there. And he was like, thank you. And he like ran off. So I like to do stuff like that. To me, I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'll give you money. I'll do the whole thing, whatever. Leave me alone, get out of my space. But I'm gonna say something that's gonna fuck with you, and you're gonna think about that. When you go to your mom, you're gonna think about me.
Yeah.
So I try
like
to.
that.
Do you forgive that person?
Yeah.
I think the way you described that story, it felt like you forgave him as soon as it happened.
As soon as it happened.
Because you understand.
Because I know how to move. Sometimes we
it.
got to do things to move through life, so I don't take it personal.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way. It's like there's certain people who are just so misguided.
Yeah.
Certain people that they're in a place where they're so desperate.
Yeah.
You know, I feel more empathy than fear in that situation. It's like, damn, dog. Like, you really had to put a gun in my face to take $20 from me. You really need it.
Right.
You really need it.
Yep.
I've never been robbed. I don't know, but like I feel people who just don't get it. Like these people who just speak on these situations, like what happened in Alabama with that law passing of like the abortion bill and stuff like that. There's people who are just like really receptive to that shit and just they're with it, and like you don't understand
they believe they're doing good.
How many people's consciousness this is really affecting? How many people's lives this is really affecting? Like, how'd you feel when you saw that?
So like. One of my gigs is like I'm a social media manager for a magazine and it's a magazine we all know. And I put like this controversial post up there. It was just like a picture of a pregnant woman, and then I quoted what's her name? Something Cortez. She's the
Alexandria Ocasio.
Yeah, which she always says like very radical things, and she was just talking about like how a woman should own her body and this and that. And so I captioned it, and it was a picture of a pregnant woman. It was like a painting. It was beautiful, and I just kind of like stepped back, and everyone just went crazy with it. And I like to, on that page, I like to do that because it's a page for women and for women of color. So, and it's a very, so I did that, and I just took a step back, and I didn't respond to any of the negative stuff on that page because I'm just like, I like to do stuff like that though. Get you thinking a little bit. Yeah. But I personally believe that that's nobody's business. Like what I do with my body, what you do with your body, I can't tell you what to do. Like, and that's so easy for a man to say, y'all have no idea. Y'all will never have any idea what a woman goes through. And think about it this way. If I had sex 100 times, I can still only get pregnant once. Mm-hmm. If you have sex 100 times, you can get 100 people pregnant. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about like that. Like y'all have so much privilege, because then you could walk away 100 times too.
Mm-hmm. Sure can.
Right? So like. I
feel you.
You know what I mean?
And I never take that for granted because I was raised by women. And I respect women. I respect what you guys deal with. You know what I'm saying? Because it's honestly a lot harder.
The energy that women emit is necessary.
It's necessary.
We need it.
It is.
And it's crazy. Like I saw the picture of like all the men who voted for like this bill to be passed. Like all these old white men.
Yeah, the freaking abortion.
The way I see it from my perception is like it's like their last effort to like maintain some sort of power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some sort of control. Because like I feel like that's all they know. That's like they're older, right? So like they're used to like older white men being in control of this country and like making decisions.
Dictating what women should do. Yeah.
And it's super fucked up, and like it made me really upset because it's just like, why? Like you're like literally it's like a slap in the face to all these other people involved in like someone you may work with, like who has a daughter, right? It's like a slap in the face to them, And it's just not right. It's not safe. I think everyone who lives in Alabama or Georgia, whatever, should get the fuck out.
Yeah.
My first taste of the reality that women deal with, it might seem like a small thing, but was when like one of my friends told me that she has like literally like 1,000 DMs from guys just sending inappropriate messages, just going like saying crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I had to sit down and think, like, how would I feel if every day niggas was just, like, you know, saying very disrespectful things, aggressive things to me. Like, that's hard, yo.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
even,
hard.
like, walking, like, every single day walking. Now it's, like, it's hotter outside, so I'm wearing shorts. Oh, my God forbid I had legs, right? And so now I'm showing my skin, and people don't know how to act.
No.
And, you know, and that's something as a woman, you just have to ignore
You have to
it.
anticipate it and
Yeah.
fucking ignore
I
it.
give y'all so much props for that because y'all deal with that a lot.
I'll be
man.
ready to fight. And like I heard a podcast, like a woman was speaking about, like it was a podcast called The Shane Show. She was speaking about she literally fears like walking to her car in a parking garage because like you just don't know who's watching you, like who's trying to catcall you, whatever. And it's just like I have recognized like as dudes sometimes we just get like a little too overly aggressive, overly
especially
excited.
when it's a group of guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
man,
you
yo.
get the hype
It's
from
like
your
a
friends.
wolf pack.
Yeah, it's disgusting, bro.
It's
and
disgusting, bro. It's disgusting. It's like, yo, what the fuck?
I actually have a situation right now in my building where there's a guard who's been approaching my daughter.
Are you serious?
And at the same time, they've been sending us letters just about bullshit going on in the apartment. And I figured out that it's because my daughter's had her boyfriend over. Always when I'm there, I'm aware. My daughter's 24, you know. And I'm really wrestling with how to handle this because I want to go to a lawyer and handle it properly.
Yeah.
But I want to handle it like a mother and go right in his face and tell him cut the shit out.
Yeah.
Because he's approached her more than once. And I just sat down with her last night and I said, Emily, you are aware that this is not something that you should be dealing with where you walk into your building or you're walking the grounds, and it's happened more than once.
Yeah.
And I'm getting upset just talking about it. But where she feels uncomfortable because especially there's been times where she's been alone and he'll approach her and it's been at night and he's a guard in the building.
That's fucked up.
So it's like,
Yeah.
do I go about it the appropriate way and write my little letter and have a lawyer get involved? Or do I go up to him and threaten his life? Like that's literally what
Is
I'm.
he there now? Is he there right now? Like, where you at?
He's there. He's there at certain times, but
Nah.
I'm really trying to understand how I should, because that's another thing. She's getting older, so it's like I can't handle it like I would as a mom if she was 16.
Yeah.
Facts,
You know what I mean? Especially like I'm not trying to be funny. Like we look around the same age. Like guards in the building have said like, which one is the mother?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I don't want him to think like, what the fuck? You know, like said something on me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's just, that's just something I'm thinking about. Like, how do I handle this? Like, do I handle it appropriate? Do I just get up in his face? I want to just get up in his face and just be done with it.
See, are you trying to jump somebody right quick?
Bro, I'm always down, and I'm
Facts.
drunk. I got the Henny in my system.
Oh, Lord
Stupid.
Jesus.
But it's
So
like,
like so that reminds me when I was 8. I think I was 8 years old. That's when me and my sister we started walking home after school together. So I was walking home. I remember there was this guy and this was in Texas. He would be parked in the garage. I mean, in his driveway in his truck, and he would back his truck in backwards to where he would watch me and my sister every day go home. I didn't think anything of it, but then I mentioned it one day to my parents and to my dad, and of course it started getting real bad. And I was 8 years old. I was in second grade, I think. And this he started leaving notes on handwritten notes on our windows and our doors talking about what I was wearing that day. He was
my
reporting
God.
it to my parents, your daughter wore some very short shorts today. And
I'd go kill him.
yeah,
I'd go kill
I
him.
was
I would
8.
go immediately to jail.
8 years old.
Guns
I would
illegal,
tell them
right?
to call the
Down there?
cops.
Like-
I'm going next door and I'm going to kill somebody.
I
Facts.
still remember I have a horrible memory, but I still remember his name. I remember what he looks like because we had to go to court. We had to do the whole thing, and I'll never know what ever happened to him. But I remember as an 8-year-old, even we would just look the other way. My sister and I, because that's the norm. Is we're used to, as women, people who have vaginas, we are used to so much harassment like that. It's hard
sad,
for us to
Joe.
tell what's normal and what's.
That shit kills me, bro.
Yeah.
Because if I ever have a daughter, it's just gonna be
Yeah.
damn, son, you're going through mad shit.
Yeah.
Just because you're beautiful.
I honestly think I'm desensitized towards it. 'Cause I'm at the point where when people talk to me, I just be like, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night.
And I don't be mad at that.
Right.
When I see certain females like that just like literally dismiss any nigga that has something to say, I don't get mad at that because you got to ask yourself, how many guys today?
But I don't feel like I'm dismissing. I speak back. Like, I'd rather speak back than deal with anything else.
Yeah, because the
you say
rejection
good
for some
morning,
dudes would be like,
just
Back in the day, you used to
offense
get something thrown at you if you didn't acknowledge.
Yeah, so I'm at
They
the
would
point
pick
where
up
it's just like,
bottles
when
and
you
throw
speak to
bottles
me,
at you.
I automatically
Straight up.
speak back like, "Oh, good, how you doing?" Things like, "Thank you very much." Peace,
That's
like,
so unfair.
but I just
man.
keep it
That's
moving.
so
Do you think
They'd
guys-
want to fight you.
Do you think guys like
That
who act
is
like that have
so
a bad relationship with their
unfair.
mothers? 'Cause,
Hell
like,
yeah.
if you have a
Absolutely.
bad relationship
They
with your
have a lot
mother,
of
you're not gonna
issues.
respect
Yeah.
any woman on this planet.
A
bad relationship or no
I'll never
relationship,
forget
one
one
or the
time,
other.
me and my ex-wife, he was in the Applebee's on Jamaica Avenue, and there was this black man. He was talking to us, and he was just like explaining how he didn't like black women because of how his mother used to get beat when he was a kid, and he didn't understand why his mother would just sit there and let this man beat on her, or when she would let the man beat on him. And I'm just like, well, sometimes she took them beatings so your ass wouldn't get beat, but you're sitting here hating your mother.
Yeah.
I'm like, that nigga could have wanted to beat your ass the whole time, but she stepped up like, nah, not my child, beat on me. So it was just a lot. But to hear him say that, I was just like, damn, there's a lot of black men who are confused and do have a hate for black women, but it's not because it's something we did to them directly. It's because something they witnessed when they was growing up.
I agree. Like, I drive Lyft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, to make extra money or whatever. And just the other day, it was this couple. It was this young couple. It was a black couple from downtown Elizabeth. And, you know, the baby father or whatever, he was just talking so crazy to the mom. I
Yeah.
mean, it broke my heart because it's like, yo, I'm not even in the right place to defend her. I'm just a fucking driver right now. I'm talking about, like, he was just calling her dumb. Like, yo, you're the worst mother in the world. Why don't you burp her before you put her in the car seat?
Yeah.
Like, are you dumb? Like, just totally disrespecting her, degrading her
Yeah.
in front of me.
Yeah.
And I know she felt bad because when she got in the car and she said, "How you doing?" she didn't even give me eye contact because she felt so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yo, like, how did you get in this position to be in a
Train
relationship with this
conditioning.
person?
I feel like dudes
It's
forget like
conditioning.
women keep the planet populated. I mean, you know, the shit going on with like global warming and shit like that. But like, and we put our little effort and our little 2 cents in. But
Did
like,
you see that new report saying that the generations are no longer replacing themselves? People
No.
are no longer having babies
Yeah.
the way they used to.
Yeah.
So the generations are no longer replacing themselves.
mm,
There's not enough babies being made no more.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is specifically. Like, I have my reasons why I would fear bringing a kid into this world.
And I
but-
think that's like the majority of everybody. I feel like everybody is starting to feel the same way, or maybe they feeling like they're not at a certain point in their lives, so they don't want to have babies compared to as before people were just having babies.
Popping them out.
And I
Popping them out.
think- and
Because
I
there was a
think-
lot of accidents happening too.
I was about to say, now we have so much different forms of contraception
Yeah,
and
yeah.
protection. There's a lot of different options. Planned Parenthood.
But
and-
let's also think about this because, you know, I will say this, that my sister, she has to go through the IVF process right now to have her baby. And this is something as black women we do not talk about. A lot of us, I wasn't, but a lot of black women were put on birth control at a very early age because their parents were scared they was going to make the same mistake they did. So what they did was they put their daughters on birth control. Now a lot of these women can't have babies
Because they were on it for so
because
long.
they've been on birth control since they was 14, 15.
Yep. I've been on it since I was 13.
There you go.
Oh shit.
And now here you are about to be 30, you want to have a baby. It's just going to be damn near impossible because your body has been trained to not have a baby since you was 13 years old.
Yeah, and I can't.
And this is
I
something that
can't.
we do not talk about in our community. But we have a really hard time conceiving babies right now.
I had no idea that is a thing.
It's definitely
So like that
Yeah.
affects you long term in terms of having a baby.
Yes.
Oh, I think for me also it's like my illness, and a lot of people, if you've noticed, like a lot of women are getting diagnosed with autoimmune diseases now, which is like, even just since I got diagnosed, like now all these people have lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and sickle
Yes.
cell anemia. Like
Yes.
that's like a big epidemic right now, and a lot of these diseases, they affect women of color too in their 20s, which is childbearing age.
Yep.
And like I've been told for years, like when I first started my treatment in 2011, I was told, if you have ideas of having a baby, you need to think twice, or getting pregnant because of like the possibility of defects and all this stuff. And also my physical body is like not strong enough to carry a child full term. So I would have to get a surrogate. I had to do IVF and do, freeze my eggs and all of that. And it's expensive. And so when I think about how much it costs, like, I want children so bad, like, so bad. My goal, my 10-year, 5-year and 2-year and 10-year goal was, like, by 30, I was going to have a child. And I'll be 30 this year. It's obviously not going to happen. And I'm okay with that. But I'm like, I do want a child. Like,
and
I feel
the process is like tens of thousands of dollars. If you don't have, like, thank God my sister has great insurance on her husband, so they was able to, like, really make it work for themselves. Yeah. And insurance covered 90% of it, but
wow.
Yeah,
I need that insurance.
Yeah.
Like,
her insurance covered 90%. I think it also helps because she works in the medical field, so it was just like a blessing for her. But it's a lot.
Yeah, when you don't know, you just don't know, right? So I had no idea that happens. Like,
and that's why I always tell people, like, I'm 32 now. If I didn't have a baby by now, I'm not even pushing myself. Like, I'm okay.
That's making me upset for some. I just, wow.
Yeah.
About to be flat auntie out here.
Right.
Somebody gonna shoot your club up.
Nobody shooting my club up, but I hear you, Jeff.
Yeah. Somebody gonna. The DM's gonna be flooded after this episode.
There's no DM.
That's the Henny.
I get no play.
I'm trying to lighten the mood, man.
Give me 2 more months. Give me 2 more months. I probably start this. Let's do a thing for my love, but. Yeah, I get no play, like, whatsoever. It's kind of embarrassing at this point.
I feel like this conversation was, like, kind of needed in terms of, like, making men just think more and, like, do more of a self-introspection and just think more, right? Yeah. So, like, in terms of, like, you personally, in terms of your career, like, self-introspection, if you could just look into the mirror and tell yourself and just come up with ideas of what you may need to do differently to progress further in your career, what do you think those things you might need to do?
I need to really, like... I'm all over the place. Like I said, I have a lot of tabs open all the time. So, like, I need to close some of those tabs. And I need to focus probably on, like, the one thing, which is, like, the book for me. That's, like, I need to stop playing. And I need to do it. I've written so many different versions of it. I've, like, and scrapped those versions. And I just started a new version in around Christmas of last year. And I'm, like, 75% done. But I feel like I need to do that. Like, I need to go ahead and wrap that up, put that out there, and call that. I think that's, like, the big thing that's been weighing on me as an artist.
Well, Canada's coming up, so hopefully you can take the month and sit down and get the writing and be inspired by the new scenery and just
I'm so
take advantage of that.
And then I'll be going
and fuck French people.
What's that?
Yeah.
You said fuck French people?
No, it's surrounded by French people.
Oh.
I know. I thought he said that too.
Did I say that?
Sounded like it.
I was like, okay.
Fuck French people.
I did have a bad experience in Paris. I ain't gonna lie.
Me too. Really? Yeah.
Yo, we're just like.
Wait, when did you go to Paris?
Last February.
Okay, I went last summer in June. Yeah, it's really bad right now with the refugees and stuff. Yeah. Like, it's so bad. Yeah.
That was the only black person, like, there.
Really?
Like, period. Like, I saw, like, maybe 3 black people the entire time I was there for, like, a week.
Wow.
And it was awkward.
Yeah.
Awkward. The food was bad, too.
Different?
They looked at me like they wanted to, like, scrap. Like, every time I got on the train and shit, like.
Oh, sacre bleu.
Yeah, I was ready to scrap. Can I present my idea, like my book that I've been working on?
Yeah.
I'm like 32 chapters deep.
Yeah.
I'm calling it a personal dictionary.
Okay.
So each chapter is a word, and it'll have the actual definition of the word, my personal definition of the word, and then my experiences / thoughts on that word. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that?
That's dope.
Yeah.
I like that. Is it going to be like a coffee table book? Like,
I think so. Like, I don't know how far I'm going to go with it, but I'm thinking like 50.
Every word in the dictionary, or
that's too many. I'm thinking like 50 for like maybe the first one. I'm like
maybe like 50 of your main words you use.
Yeah.
Oh, it's words that you use.
Well, just words that I can relate to. Like,
okay.
I like that.
Like, give me an example.
What was it? I don't like when I get asked questions. Like, I'm
really don't.
Yeah, it's super uncomfortable.
Just go. Let's go.
What was the last word I used? I think it was family. And I just talked about like my relationship with my family. Like, they love me so much. They support everything I do. But I've always I just always felt so different.
Right.
And I just wrote about my experiences of how different I felt and how like I feel like I can't open up to them sometimes because I feel like they just won't ever understand me.
Yeah.
And just examples like that. Speaking of my depression, anxiety. I talk about like inspiration, all that, like just whatever words come to mind.
Do y'all deal with anxiety?
Hell yeah.
Okay, how do y'all deal with it? I like to ask people, like, because everyone has a different tactic.
You guys?
Well, like, all right, so can I explain one of the recent situations real quick that I had, like, the biggest anxiety attack? So we were supposed to be going to, like, some yacht party or whatever in New York, right? So I'm, like, just had an edible. Right?
Yeah.
Super fucking high.
Paranoid.
Yeah, so I'm in somebody else's car. It's a BMW 4 Series, so it's small, right? I'm sitting in the front seat. It's fucking small, right?
You mad big.
Right. So there's tents in the fucking car. There's a little tent on the windshield, like a little strip or whatever. So it feels like I'm in a little fucking box.
Feels even smaller. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm sitting there in the fucking passenger seat, about to lose my mind. I want to tell him to pull over so I can get out. Because when you're in that moment, you feel so constrained and just so stuck. You just want to stand up and stretch. But when you're not able to do that, it fucks with your head, bro. It fucks with your head. I mean, generally speaking, I try breathing exercises. I'm still learning how to deal with my anxiety because it's getting worse. Like, even when I got on the plane to California, I had the window seat. And then I was good because there was nobody sitting between me and the other person at the end of the row. Then a guy, came through and it's like, damn, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like small spaces creep me the fuck out.
Yeah.
I just lose my shit. Like, it's a physiological response. Like, I breathe hard, I start sweating, and it's a horrible experience.
Yeah.
Have you tried talking to yourself? Like talking yourself out of it? Because I know I used to have similar situations where I would wind up talking myself into it and making it worse.
Yes, I
But
do
now
that
I've tried the thing where it's like, no, you're okay. I know you feel it coming on. It's getting worse. You're okay. You can do this. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but just the process of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. On my way back, I popped the Xan. First time I ever tried it. It helped. I fell asleep.
Cali has some good weed too.
Yeah. Oh
man, their edibles are legit.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't want to hear about my last edible story.
Well, that was my last edible story. That was like in 2015. I was good, and to me, nothing else topped that. That was my way of like going out with the edible world. I was like, I'm never gonna find something that felt like that.
You live a sober life now. Completely.
I'm sober.
Why is that?
I respect that.
Yeah, it's been 3 years, so it was around the Cali edible time. I was on like the highway with my rental, and I was good. And after that, when I went back home, I got back to reality. For me, it's just because right now, especially like I'm in a certain creative process that has been lasting a couple of years or a few years where I want to have control over everything. I don't want anything to be dictated or altered. Yeah. I've been super intentional about like my relationships and like or people who enter my space because I don't want anyone to adjust any parts of me. Like I have done so much work to get to this point that I'm at. And so like substances for me, there was a point in my life when I was like doing a lot of bad, dangerous, harmful stuff, not just to me, but to everyone, to other people, you know, bad stuff. Like I'm talking about totaling a car that I'm driving home from the club with the person I'm dating, and then we start fighting. After I total the car, we get out the car and start fighting, and the police come and they're like trying to tow the car, but then we're fighting now, and like it's just when I think about certain things, I'm like, gosh, like or like I have a dimple in my cheek, right? It's not a real dimple, like it's a man-made dimple. Like someone punched me in my face as a result of like we were drunk and we were, you know, so like I have a lot of those stories, and they fractured my cheekbone. I have a lot of those types of stories. Like, that's why I'm not against it. You know, I'm like, everyone turn up. Like, and I have a lot of, like, very strong willpower where I'm like, I'm good. I could be around any environment, and I totally feel it. The turn up, like but at the same time, I know what it's done for me. Yeah. And you know, some people, they get violent, they get dangerous, they're not cool to be around, and I used to be one of those people. So I had to hold myself accountable for making a change because I'm like, I don't want to keep pushing people off, and I don't want to keep putting myself in these dangerous situations.
Right. Well, we're super low on time, and it sucks to have so many more questions. But
you gotta come back.
Yeah, we gotta come back. But like, we're gonna end with this segment. We have a segment on this podcast called "Don't Sleep," where basically we give something to the audience that they shouldn't sleep on, whether it be an album, whether it be advice, or just whatever, right? Yeah. So this week, my "Don't Sleep" is I think people should not sleep on. I think I have two. People shouldn't sleep on that Tyler the Creator album. That is the best breakup album I've ever heard of. That nigga's gone through some shit. And that shit is amazing, bro. That's his best album yet. And my second one is people really shouldn't sleep on people shouldn't sleep on self-introspection, yo. Like, you really got to look yourself in the mirror sometimes and just be like, yo, these are the things I do wrong, and I need to really fix this shit because I'll never progress.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on self-introspection because you'll progress to a different level that you never thought you could ever reach, and I think everyone needs it. Sierra, do you have anything people shouldn't sleep on this week?
I got two things. One, definitely don't sleep on that new Logic album, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Oh, don't get me started. That shit's trash. Fuck Logic.
Fire. Wait, you don't like him?
Next episode, I got you.
Jesus.
I'm going off on Logic.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I do like Logic. Huge fan. Yeah, don't sleep on that. And I would say just don't sleep on time. Time is a man-made construct.
Amen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to remind yourself that shit doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's why we look at each other and we're like, oh my God, you look so young for your age. Like, age, time, these things are all man constructed.
Yeah.
I try to forget about time and just focus on what I'm doing. So just don't sleep on that and just realize that a lot of things that are in reality aren't real.
Yeah.
Miss Laney?
Don't sleep on the signs. When you ask for a sign, you shall receive one. Just look out, open your mind, open your ears.
I gave up
because
because I was going to say the same shit.
Don't
Don't sleep on the universe.
Do not sleep on the signs out there. They're waiting for you.
That was yours, Coco?
Yeah, like don't sleep on the universe, your own intuition.
Miss Devery, do you have anything people shouldn't sleep on?
I was gonna say time. You said that, and then I was gonna say like don't sleep on your potential. Right? Speaking of time, like I feel like we're infinite people and creatures. Like time doesn't exist. At the same time, time is everything though, right? Because like it's always ticking. It's always going.
There's always a beginning and end.
Yes. Oh, that's like my favorite thing to say is begin with the end in mind. People don't like that. But
I
I'm
feel like that's the basis of being a
scares them.
realist.
People
I have
People
one
don't
last
like
question.
anything.
As a writer, do you write your end before you begin it?
Ooh.
Ouch.
Because I feel like I mentally write my end and then I go into my beginning.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
a
good.
good question. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Facts.
Yeah, that's true.
Yo, thank you so much for coming.
You're dope.
You are my favorite
Super
guest that
dope.
we've had so far.
Oh,
Dead ass.
thank you.
I really wish we weren't done.
I
really wish we weren't
Not
done
to
right
shit
now.
on every other guest, but you were amazing, and I want to
Thank
have you
you.
back
As
whenever
soon
you
as
can.
possible.
She just
Whenever
blew
you're back.
Yeah.
Inside out,
Thank you
y'all.
so
Oh,
much.
no, I'm
Thank you.
sweating.
Can you shout out like where
Thank you.
people can find you if they want to follow you?
Everything is my name because like it's just my name, Devery Velasquez. So just you can Google it and like literally everything is my name.
Google her, follow her.
She's like the
Please.
first one that comes up in the search.
Yeah.
By the way,
Facts.
Devery.
And if you enjoy this podcast, please follow us as well on Instagram at Introverted Intuition Pod. If you're interested in possibly coming on as a guest, email us at introvertedpod@yahoo.com. Please stop sending us your music because the shit is trash. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, Lord
Oh,
Jesus.
yeah.
Stop.
And don't sleep on the Schoolboy Q album because y'all was
Okay.
Num Num Juice.
That's
That's my
right.
shit.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Make sure you follow us or we'll find you.
Yeah. Yo, someone DM me like 3 links to their music. It was really
They're being
Really?
consistent.
bad.